What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and in this video I'm checking out the Oknife Rubato 3, which I consider to be my first O-knife, although that's not technically true. Technically my first O-knife was this Nightclaw, which I won from Big Red EDC on one of his Saturday Knife Lives. Weird little knife. It's obviously kind of a medallion coin style knife with a button lock, and that button lock's used both for deployment and locking it up, and so you can push it out, swing out the blade, push it again, and swing it back in. It does have a nail nick on here, but I don't know why, because when it's closed you can't actually access any part of the blade, so you can't grab that nail nick. So maybe they were originally planning on using that for deployment, but eventually just went with the button lock. But cool little weird thing that's super fidgety and fun, but not something I'd consider, you know, a primary EDC knife. It has a blade on it that you can use for opening stuff, but the reason I don't consider it my first O-knife is I don't think it's really representative of what you're gonna get with an O-knife. It's more of a novelty item, more similar to the coins that you get than it is to the knife itself. And so the Rubato 3 is one of their kind of premium knives, I guess, which has the 154 cm. And so that means it comes with a coin. If you get any of their D2 style knives or D2 steel blades, you don't get the coin. So the coins are really nice. They feel super high quality. Has O-knife on the front and the knife model on the back, Rubato 3 around the edge with an image of the knife and a bee sitting on top of it in a field. Super detailed and intricate design. It feels really good and just kind of a nice touch. Obviously not adding anything to the knife, but they do include a pocket for it inside the pouch that comes with the knife, and even in their new tool roll slash knife storage hanging thing, there's a spot for the coins, and so really think about that in the design of their other products around it. But this is the third iteration of the Rubato. Obviously haven't handled the first two or owned the first two, but the difference was really the blade shape. And so you got a Tonto in the first one, and I believe a sheep's foot in the second one, but you're getting a drop point style blade on the third one. You also get a new scale, which I believe they've done aluminum before as well as micarta, but this one has this honeycomb pattern, which looks really good and feels good as well. I got it in the gunmetal gray. It's also available in an OD green. This colorway is sold out on the O-Light website, but it's available on Amazon for the same price, which is $90. The January sale where it launched, I got it for $64. So at $64, I think this is a steal. At $90, I still think it's a pretty good deal. But $64 was a really, really good price on it. I don't know if they usually drop after their initial launch. Usually when they launch them, they'll launch them in kind of conjunction with the sale and have them on sale when they launch, but I don't know if they ever go on sale again. But a relatively small knife with an Axis style lock, which they call the rail lock. It's OEM'd by Kaiser, so really well done. It's on bearing, super smooth, and the rail lock is really, really good. It's comparable to any of the Benchmades that I own, and even better than some of them. The knife a lot of people compare this to is the Benchmade Mini Griptilian, and you can kind of see why. They're very similar in shape and size, and obviously have all of the same features, and so definitely pretty comparable. It's also pretty comparable to the Mini Bug Out, which is the same kind of shape and size. It's a little bit of a hybrid of the two because this has a flatter scales, but it's also thicker than the Mini Bug Out, and so a little bit in between the two, but probably more similar to the Mini Griptilian. But the reason I wanted to pull both of these out is because the lock on the Mini Bug Out is really well done, super smooth and just about perfect. But on my Mini Griptilian, there's a little bit of a stick, which you might be able to hear audibly. I'm not sure if it's gonna pick up, but there you go. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a stick when you disengage that lock, and the harder that you open it, the more of a stick there is. If you slow roll it out, there's almost none, but if you flick it out, you're gonna get a super kind of tactile feeling to that stick. It's not enough where it makes it so you can't disengage the lock or even really cause any irritation. You just hear it, and it's not super smooth like it is on the Oknife Rubato 3 that I have. So obviously there's a difference in some models, so everyone's Mini Griptilian is not going to have that same stick, but it's not the first time that I've got a Benchmade knife with that. I haven't handled enough of these to say that it's always better than the Benchmade ones, and it's comparable to my Mini Bug Out, but still really impressive that they were able to do that with their style of lock. There's also wasn't really a break-in period. A lot of times with Benchmades, I feel like there's a little bit of a break-in period for the lock. Maybe it's kind of releasing the tension on the springs a little bit and kind of breaking those in, but there wasn't really any sort of break-in period with this. It was really good out of the box, which is nice. 154 cm, which is again why we got that coin, and drop point style blade, black PVD coating, which is pretty good. It's not super glossy, but it is glossy. I wouldn't have minded a stonewash there, but I think it looks good, matches all of the rest of the hardware as well. And super ambidextrous lock. It has a reversible pocket, or ambidextrous knife in general, has a reversible pocket clip, obviously the ambidextrous lock and thumb studs, and so really lefty friendly as well. It does have this kind of indent in the scales for the pocket clip. I prefer when I get like an insert there just so it's not such an eyesore, but it is nice that it's reversible at the very least, and honestly a pretty minor gripe overall. It's a small knife just like the mini grip or the mini bug out at 6.77 inches. You have a sub 3-inch blade, meaning it's going to be legal in most places at 2.96 inches. Nice sharpening choil on that as well. 3.81 inches on the handle, which allows me to get a full 4-finger grip, although just barely, so if your hands are bigger than mine, you might hang off just a tad. And the aluminum scales keep it pretty light at 3.17 ounces, so it feels pretty light. The only notes I'd say on Ergo is it's pretty comfortable, but I do feel the pocket clip a little bit more than I do on some other knives, so I'm most likely going to remove it since I don't typically use pocket clips anyway. I'm probably just going to remove it and go with no pocket clip. And then the only other thing is that the jimping isn't very aggressive. It's a super subtle jimping. It's barely there, and it's not really adding anything to the experience. I definitely prefer either an aggressive jimping or no jimping at all, because if don't just throw them on there to throw them on there, it's not really adding anything. But billboarding also, it's a little bit in the center of the knife, that Oknife Rubato 3. I would have preferred they tuck that up where they have the model number over here, which seems redundant with Rubato 3 already listed on there, and then the steel up here, 154 cm. It's not too bad. The logos aren't huge or anything. It's just, don't love it when they're sitting kind of right in the middle of the knife. I think it takes away aesthetically from the overall look, but I do think this is a really great looking knife. I think probably the best looking knife I've seen come from Oknife. Obviously I haven't had any of the other ones in my hand, but from just images online, I think this is the best looking image that they have out there. Overall, I think at $90 it's a pretty good knife. I would still recommend it, and if you can get it for $65, it feels like a steal. It feels much more high quality than a $65 knife, and like I said, pretty comparable to the mini grip. I actually think I prefer this over the mini grip Tillion. I still like my mini bug out just a little bit more. Just love how light it is, how small and flat it is, but I think it's pretty comparable to the mini grip Tillion. I don't remember the price on the mini grip Tillion, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than double what I paid for this. So really cool knife for $65, definitely worth checking out. If you have recommendations for other Oknifes that I should check out, I was pretty impressed with this one, so I'm definitely open to it. There's none of the other ones were so visually appealing that I had to have them, but there are a few models that I think look pretty good and look pretty interesting, so I may check them out on my own, but definitely open to recommendations as well. But let me know what you think of this knife in particular down in the comments below. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. It helps the channel out a ton, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.